Flying cars exist. Jetpacks are real. Robots actually talk. All of them started as science fiction. Here are the 32 predictions that went from impossible to possible. Most of them are now here, interacting with you. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with something you're probably holding right now, your smartphone. Back in 1966, Star Trek showed us communicators, handheld devices that let people talk across vast distances. The show's creator even claimed the flip phone was inspired by Captain Kirk's communicator. But smartphones went further. They became computers, cameras, translators, and entertainment centers, all in one device that fits in your pocket. And here's what's wild. These devices now do things even Sci-Fi didn't predict. Real-time translation between languages? That was Douglas Adams' Babelfish from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a fish you'd stick in your ear to understand any language. Today, phones like the Samsung Galaxy S24 provide two-way audio translation in real time, no fish required. Think about it like seeds planted in imagination that sprouted in reality. Authors and filmmakers described technologies they thought were impossible, but engineers saw those stories as blueprints. It's as if fiction writers accidentally wrote instruction manuals for the future. Let's group these 32 predictions into categories to understand how imagination became reality. Category 1. Things we wear. Remember Dick Tracy's two-way wrist radio from the 1940s? That comic strip showed a detective talking through his watch. Today, the Apple Watch lets you make calls, track your health, control your home, and basically acts as a computer on your wrist. Smartwatches have become so advanced, they'd make even sci-fi writers jealous. Then there are wireless earbuds. Star Trek had those comm badges, and James Bond movies showed wireless communication devices. Now, AirPods and similar earbuds deliver crystal clear audio, cancel noise, respond to touch, and let you talk hands-free. Some even use bone conduction, transmitting sound through your skull without covering your ears. Category 2. How we move. Electric cars seemed absurd for decades, but in 1910, a novel called Tom Swift and His Electric Runabout imagined a car traveling 300 to 400 miles on a single charge at 100 miles per hour. A century later, Tesla and other companies make this routine. Modern EVs deliver instant torque, hit high speeds, and travel hundreds of miles per charge. Flying cars, though, those stayed fictional longer. The Jetsons made them iconic in 1962. But in 2024, companies are finally testing electric vertical takeoff and landing, or VTOL vehicles. They're not in your driveway yet. Safety regulations and infrastructure need work, but they're real and being tested in cities worldwide. And jetpacks? James Bond used one in Thunderball back in 1965. Real jetpacks exist now, using clusters of miniature jet engines. The catch? They burn through fuel in minutes. There's also water-powered jetpacks for the ocean. But again, limited flight time means they're more novelty than practical. Category 3. Communication and connection. Video calling was Star Trek's on-screen command, instantly seeing who you're talking to across space. By the 2000s, this became mundane. Skype, FaceTime, Zoom. They exploded during the 2020 pandemic, proving that video communication could replace in-person meetings for work, school, and socializing. And the World Wide Web itself? William Gibson's 1984 novel Neuromancer popularized cyberspace, a global network of computers sharing information graphically. By the 1990s, Tim Berners-Lee made it real. Today, the web gives us access to nearly all human knowledge, entertainment, and connection. What seemed like sci-fi 40 years ago reshaped civilization. Category 4. Robots and AI. Humanoid robots felt impossible until recently. Movies like I, Robot showed us androids with realistic movements and expressions. Now, engineering arts created a mecha, a robot with facial expressions so realistic they're almost unsettling. It's powered by AI and can hold conversations that feel eerily natural. Household robots exist too, just not as butlers yet. Robot vacuums and lawnmowers navigate your home automatically. Sony's AIBO robot dog responds to voice commands and senses when you pet it. Amazon's Astro robot patrols your house with Alexa built in. And virtual assistants? Marvel's Jarvis in Iron Man and Samantha in Her showed us AI companions that understand natural language. Today, ChatGPT, Claude, Google Gemini, and many more others. These systems create content, answer questions, generate images, and provide companionship through conversation. They're not conscious, but they're remarkably capable. Category 5. Medical and human enhancement. Robotic limbs are no longer just prosthetics. They're sophisticated extensions. Sci-fi, especially cyberpunk stories like Deus Ex, imagined robotic arms and legs that could match or exceed human capabilities. Today's prosthetics use advanced sensors and motors to perform delicate tasks. Some can even be controlled by thought through neural interfaces. And cloning? Brave New World and Blade Runner made clones central to their stories. In 1996, Dolly the sheep became the first cloned mammal, proof that it's possible. Human reproductive cloning remains illegal and ethically fraught, but therapeutic cloning, creating stem cells for medical treatment, is actively researched in many countries. Category 6. Space and exploration. Living in space was once pure fantasy. Star Trek's Deep Space Nine showed massive space stations housing thousands. We're not there yet, but the International Space Station has housed astronauts continuously since 2000. People live and work in zero gravity for months, conducting research that was impossible on Earth. Space tourism? Virgin Galactic makes it possible if you have $450,000 to spare. Richard Branson's company takes civilians to the edge of space for a few minutes of weightlessness. It's not cruising to Mars, but it's a start. Category 7. Daily life tech. 3D printing seemed like Star Trek's replicator fantasy, saying tea, Earl Grey, hot, and having it appear. Modern 3D printers can't make tea, but they create physical objects from digital files in hours. From car parts to toys to prosthetics, even food can be 3D printed using paste-like ingredients. Virtual reality brought Star Trek's holodeck closer to reality. VR headsets like MetaQuest 3, Valve Index, and PlayStation VR 2 transport you to other worlds. With room-scale tracking and haptic feedback, you can climb mountains, shoot arrows, or explore alien planets all from your living room. And mass surveillance? George Orwell's 1984 warned about this dystopian future. Today, cities like London and Beijing have extensive CCTV networks. London averages 67 cameras per 1,000 people. Originally for crime prevention, these systems can track individuals across entire cities in real time. Big Brother, but real. Category 8. Military and defense. Stealth technology comes from sci-fi's cloaking devices. Star Trek's Klingon ships could vanish. Real stealth doesn't make things invisible. It minimizes radar signatures. The US Navy's Sea Shadow and stealth aircraft use angular designs and radar-absorbing materials to avoid detection. It's invisibility through geometry and physics. Railguns appeared in hard sci-fi like The Expanse and Mass Effect. These weapons use electromagnets to accelerate projectiles at hypersonic speeds without gunpowder. BAE Systems built a functional railgun in 2010 that fired 7-pound projectiles at 390 meters per second. The problem? They need massive amounts of energy. Development continues, but traditional weapons remain more practical. Drones were basically toys in Danny Dunn Invisible Boy back in 1974. Today, they're everywhere. Recreational photography, racing competitions, and unfortunately, military applications. Modern combat drones carry weapons and can be deployed without risking pilots' lives. Category 9. Food and consumption. Synthetic meat appeared in Starfield and The Expanse, the idea being that real meat is impractical in space. Plant-based alternatives from Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat now mimic beef and pork convincingly. Lab-grown meat grows real animal cells without killing animals. Companies like Eat Just already sell it, though scaling up production affordably remains a challenge. Food and pills was another sci-fi staple. Complete nutrition without eating. We don't have that yet, but meal replacement supplements and freeze-dried foods come close. Add hot water to dehydrated meals, and you have instant nutrition, even if it's not quite a pill. And those are 32. Here's something to consider. What if sci-fi writers are accidentally time travelers? Not literally, but think about it. They imagine futures that then become blueprints for engineers and scientists. When someone reads about a wrist communicator or a handheld computer, that image gets planted in their mind. Years later, that person might become the engineer who makes it real. It's like a feedback loop of imagination and innovation. Fiction inspires reality, which inspires new fiction, which inspires new reality. Every impossible technology in this video started as someone's wild imagination. Someone wrote it down, Someone else read it and thought, what if we could actually do that? Oddly enough, many of these technologies arrived faster than predicted, while others took way longer than expected. Electric cars were predicted in 1910, but didn't become mainstream until the 2010s, 100 years later. But smartphones? We went from basic flip phones to pocket computers in less than 2 decades. Virtual reality was supposed to take over entertainment in the 1990s, but didn't become consumer-ready until the 2020s. And then things took a turn. The technologies that seemed most outlandish, like AI-generated art or real-time language translation, arrived before the simpler predictions, like jetpacks or flying cars. It turns out that battling gravity and physics is harder than teaching machines to think. The lesson? Reality doesn't follow fiction's timeline. Some impossible dreams arrive early. Others take generations. And some, like teleportation or faster-than-light travel, might actually stay impossible. These technologies aren't just cool gadgets. They're reshaping society right now. Smartphones changed how we communicate, work, and think. Mass surveillance raises questions about privacy versus security. AI assistants are becoming collaborators in creative work. Electric vehicles could reduce pollution but require new infrastructure. Drones enable new forms of warfare and delivery systems. The sci-fi predictions that came true don't just add convenience. They fundamentally alter human behavior and social structures. Video calling changed where we can work. Wireless communication untethered us from desks. Synthetic meat could reshape agriculture and environmental impact. And we're still in the early stages. Most of these technologies are version 1.0 or 2.0 of what they'll eventually become. The smartphone you have today would seem primitive in 20 years. The VR headset that feels cutting edge now will look like ancient technology to future generations. What this really means is, the 32 technologies that seemed impossible are now real. From smartwatches to space stations, from AI assistants to lab-grown meat, imagination became engineering. But the bigger question isn't, what came true? It's, what's coming next? Right now, authors and filmmakers are dreaming up technologies that seem absurd. Consciousness uploading, programmable matter, time manipulation, quantum teleportation. The line between science fiction and science fact isn't fixed, it's constantly moving. And it moves because someone read a story, saw a movie, or played a game and thought, that's amazing, I wonder if we could actually build that. So the next time you use your smartwatch to make a video call while your robot vacuum cleans the floor and your AI assistant orders lab-grown meat for dinner, remember that all of this was once considered impossible fantasy. The future isn't written yet, but if history teaches us anything, it's that today's fiction is tomorrow's reality. What seemed impossible yesterday is ordinary today. What seems impossible today might be inevitable tomorrow.